And 10 years on, what are the deficiencies? Because definitely there are deficiencies, particularly within the Act. The anchorage in law or in the Constitution is one. We try to find place for IPOA within Article 59 of the Constitution so that we can create, upload, because it says that through that you can create more than one commission. But I think we were not able to necessarily locate it within the Article 59 commissions. I do agree, but what else do you think needs to be done in terms of legal reforms of the IPOA Act to upscale it to that extent where it is effective? Two, the president came on the promise that there will be no extrajudicial killings. And I do still believe that that is the position. The justification would only be what is contained in the National Police Act on the use of force as measurable and directly proportional to the loss of the lives of others. So I do hope you will respond to some of these queries by Opio on the basis that response to the realm of the law, rule of law. I do not think the Kenya Kwanza government is in any way in support of an errant police force, a rogue police, or a regime police. But the second last question, the whole idea of police reforms, and you're supposed to be the police auditor. You're like an audit firm for the police, not only in terms of its accountability, but in terms of tracking its reforms, unless that mandate is not assumed in that act. The whole idea about police reforms was to move us away from a regime police to a democratic policing service. In your assessment, I can see very eminent people here, lawyers, doctors, social scientists. What do you think, how much progress would you say we have made from the advent of the 2010 Constitution to move ourselves away from a regime police to a policing service? And in that event, what more is required in terms of legislative, structural, or policy reforms? And lastly, the whole idea of also these shifts. You know, there was the whole idea of police reforms or security sector reforms was premised on the fact that we needed to move away from the securitization of our democracy, you know, that paradigm, to the democratization of our security. We move away from the securitization of our democracy, kwamba kila kitu ni serikali, matter of national security. In fact, there was a Director General of the INIS who tried to insert a clause to limit the Bill of Rights to national security. We discovered it at some point. So, at that time when we were voting the 2010 Constitution. So, in other words, human rights is not limited in the purview solely of national security. There are limitations that are created by the Constitution itself. So we wanted to move ourselves to the democratization of our security. The democratization of our security means people should be engaged more engaged in participation of our security apparatus. So the question will be, do you think this police service is doing enough in terms of democratization of our security outside these conventional things of nyumba kumi sijui and vitu kama hizo, or DCs and DOs and the chiefs and so whatnot? Is there been sufficient shift in terms of the paradigm? But finally to Opio and I think we will really expect an independent report from your team, and you can be very sure that there is no government that is not limited by the rule of law, and there's no government, the Kenya Kwanza government is not keen or is not intent on protecting where rogue police officers have been involved in taking the lives of others in a manner brutal. So therefore it should not be purported by their sentiments that there is any sanitization on our part. If you do your job, then I'm quite sure actions will be taken. But my last comment, I do not agree with giving you prosecutorial powers. there must be separation of powers. That's why we wanted the police to investigate, the DPP to prosecute. So you must continue to investigate, let another arm prosecute.
Quickly, please respond.
Okay.
Yes.
Chairman, I'll try to Chair, you raised this question, what has IPOA done within its mandate, whether we've been able to hold police to account, and what have we done in terms of command responsibilities. I would say that IPOA has done a lot. Probably one of our deficiencies is not going too much to the media. But in terms of accountability, we've done a lot. We've done many recommendations. We've completed record investigations within the time of our lifespan as the board that is continuing. And indeed, we find ourselves between a rock and a hard place. Here we are being told we haven't done enough. You talk to the police officers, they don't want to see us. They say we are the worst team that ever came into being. We've increased the number of files that are with the DPP. We found about 60 files in courts. We've moved that number to 170. We have over 380 files lying at the DPP. And in total, we've forwarded over 500 files to the DPP. So a lot has been done. We've engaged DPP to try and see how that process can move faster. And at one point during the former DPP, he established a human rights desk to help review those files. And there are 2 points to it. One could be those that we have recommended prosecution so that they make progress, and could be those that are pending and the officers need to be exonerated and the cases are still pending. So it cuts both ways. When these files are not attended quickly, there are those officers who are suffering, their files are still pending. And also there are those Kenyans whose files need to be prosecuted and the files are pending. It's work in progress. There are many reasons that have been given for this, including the fact that DPP, of course, receives files from many people, and those files are handed against the capacity that that office has. In terms of command responsibility, we've tried. We have Baby Pendo case, which was initially done public inquest, and the judiciary recommended prosecution of very many officers. It was brought back to DPP. We supported DPP in investigating that case, and our conclusion was that there must be command responsibility. Again, that file is still sitting with the DPP. But our recommendation is that there has to be an element of command responsibility in certain matters. Baby Pendo is a good case. There is a case we call Nambale that was withdrawn without